Atomic Habits by James Clear, a complete summary with real-life lessons and commentary. What if the secret to transforming your life wasn't a massive breakthrough, but a tiny shift repeated over time? What if the way to success wasn't by trying harder, but by changing your habits, one small step at a time? This is Atomic Habits by James Clear. It's not just a book. It's a blueprint for building the life you want through tiny, consistent improvements. Athletes, CEOs, artists, teachers, parents, millions have used these ideas to create powerful change. Welcome to Prose Pursuit. If this is your first time here, this channel is where great books come alive. We simplify timeless ideas, tell them like stories, and help you apply them in real life. If you're into personal growth and practical wisdom, hit subscribe and join us on this journey. In this video, we'll break down every chapter of Atomic Habits with real-life examples and easy commentary that anyone can follow, even while driving, working, or relaxing. This is your audio companion to building better habits, told like a story. Let's begin. Chapter 1. The Surprising Power of Atomic Habits. Big changes don't come from big moves. They come from tiny habits, repeated daily. James Clear begins with a story about a British cycling team that went from years of failure to dominating the world, all because of 1% improvements in everything they did. The lesson? Tiny habits, when repeated consistently, stack up. They compound like interest, quietly at first, then explosively. Real-life example, imagine writing just one paragraph a day. It seems like nothing, but in a year, you've written a book. Or walking for 10 minutes each morning. Over time, your energy shifts, your mindset improves, and your body thanks you. Clear calls this the plateau of latent potential. The idea that your efforts are not wasted, even if you don't see results right away. Habits are like seeds. You water them before they sprout. The key takeaway, focus on systems, not goals. Don't obsess over the finish line. Fall in love with the process. Because success isn't one giant leap, it's a staircase of invisible wins. Chapter 2. How your habits shape your identity. James Clear gives us a mind shift here. Stop trying to achieve goals. Start trying to become the type of person who achieves them. Instead of saying, I want to run a marathon, say, I'm becoming a runner. Identity-based habits are the real game changer. Every action you take is a vote for the type of person you want to become. Want to be healthier? Don't aim to lose 10 pounds. Start thinking like a healthy person. Ask, what would a healthy person do? They'd cook at home. Take the stairs. Say no to the third slice of pizza. The more you show up like that person, the more your identity changes, and then your habits follow. Identity first, habits second. Results third. Because lasting change comes from believing something new about yourself. Chapter 3. How to build better habits in 4 simple steps. Now that we know how habits shape our identity, let's look at how habits actually work. James Clear introduces a simple model called the habit loop, made up of 4 parts: cue, craving, response, reward. It works like this. A cue triggers your brain to notice something. A craving gives you the motivation to act. The response is the behavior itself, and the reward satisfies your craving and teaches your brain to do it again. Let's say your phone buzzes. That's the cue. You feel the urge to check it. That's the craving. You pick it up and open the message. That's the response. You see a funny meme from a friend and laugh. That's the reward. The brain loves this loop. It helps it run on autopilot. That's how habits are born. James Clear gives us a cheat sheet to build better habits using this loop. Make it obvious. Design your environment to remind you of the habit. Want to floss? Put the floss next to your toothbrush. Make it attractive. Pair the habit with something you enjoy, like listening to music while jogging. Make it easy. Reduce friction. Prepare your gym clothes the night before. Make it satisfying. Reward yourself immediately, even with a mental pat on the back. And when breaking bad habits, do the opposite. Make it invisible. Make it unattractive. Make it difficult. Make it unsatisfying. It's simple, but not always easy. Real life takes patience. But with this framework, you now have a map. Habits aren't fate, they're design. And if you learn to shape your environment and behaviors, tiny step by tiny step, you can shape your future. Chapter 4. The Man Who Didn't Look Right. This chapter opens with a gripping story. A woman in a crowded train station spots a man who doesn't look right. She can't explain it. Nothing about him screams danger, yet something deep inside her tells her to act. Moments later, the man collapses. He had a seizure. Her brain had picked up on a dozen tiny clues. Posture, skin tone, eye movements, and pieced them together unconsciously. This is how habits work too. James Clear explains that our brains are constantly scanning for patterns, predicting what comes next. And the more we repeat a behavior, the more automatic it becomes, until we don't even realize we're doing it. The goal of habit building is to make good choices feel automatic. But how? By mastering the first law of behavior change. Make it obvious. Clear introduces the technique of habit stacking, pairing a new habit with something you already do. For example, after I brush my teeth, I'll stretch for 30 seconds. The existing habit acts like an anchor. He also suggests habit tracking, a simple way to visualize your progress. You can use a calendar or journal. Every time you perform a habit, mark an X over time. Those X's become a chain. And your goal becomes simple. Don't break the chain. It's not about willpower. It's about visibility and consistency. The easier it is to see a habit, the more likely you are to act on it. Put your running shoes by the door. Leave your guitar in the living room. Keep a water bottle on your desk. When you can see the cue, you start the loop. And once the loop begins, momentum builds. The woman at the train station didn't act on logic. She acted on intuition. That's what habits do. They train your intuition to make good choices automatically. And when your instincts are aligned with your goals, that's when change becomes effortless. Chapter 5. The best way to start a new habit. Let's say you want to start meditating, or exercising, or journaling. The number one mistake most people make is trying to do too much too soon. James Clear tells us, standardize before you optimize. That means make the habit consistent before you try to make it impressive. Here's the key idea. Start small. Stupid small. Don't commit to 30 minutes of yoga. Commit to 2 minutes. Just rolling out the mat and doing a couple stretches. Why? Because consistency beats intensity every time. This is called the 2-minute rule, a strategy to make starting a habit so easy. You can't say no. If you want to read more, start by opening a book and reading just one page. If you want to run, start by putting on your shoes and walking to the mailbox. Once you've built the ritual, you can expand it naturally. But the most important thing is to show up, even in the smallest way. James Clear reminds us, a habit must be established before it can be improved. In real life, this principle is pure magic. Want to start journaling every night? Just write one sentence. Want to do push-ups every morning? Start with 5. What matters most is not the size of the act, but the repetition. Because habits are not about doing more, they're about becoming more. Show up. Start small. Stay consistent. The rest will follow. Chapter 6. Motivation is overrated. Environment often matters more. We often wait for motivation to strike before we act. But what if the secret to getting things done wasn't motivation at all? James Clear tells us that motivation is fickle. It comes and goes. But environment, that's something you can design, and it's far more powerful than we think. Imagine walking into a kitchen and seeing a bowl of fresh fruit on the counter. You're more likely to grab an apple. But if cookies are front and center, well, you know how that ends. Clear gives the example of a hospital cafeteria. When water bottles were placed at eye level in coolers, next to the soda, people bought more water without any change in motivation. The environment did the work. This is the second law of behavior change. Make it easy. Design your environment to support your habits. Want to play guitar more? Keep it on a stand in the middle of the room. Want to read more books? Put one on your pillow every morning. so it's the last thing you see at night. We don't rise to the level of our goals. We fall to the level of our systems. And our systems begin with the spaces we live in. So take a look around. What in your space encourage bad habits? What could make good habits easier? Make the cues for your good habits obvious. Reduce friction. Build your environment for success. Because when your surroundings support your values, change happens naturally, without a surge of motivation or a lightning bolt of inspiration. Just quiet, invisible nudges. Every day. Chapter 7. The Secret to Self-Control. Self-control. We talk about it like a virtue, as if the people who succeed simply have more of it, more willpower, more grit. But James Clear flips that script. He says the people with the best self-control are the ones who need to use it the least. Why? Because they don't rely on willpower. They design their lives to avoid temptation in the first place. Think about it. If you're trying to eat healthier, which is easier, resisting chips in the pantry every day, or not buying them at all? Clear brings in a classic experiment, the marshmallow test. Kids who resisted eating a marshmallow for 15 minutes got a second one as a reward. Years later, those same kids had better grades and health. The secret wasn't willpower, it was distraction. Some covered their eyes, others sang to themselves. They changed their environment and attention. Here's the takeaway. You don't need to be stronger. You need to be smarter about your surroundings. Remove the cue, and you remove the craving. Want to stop checking social media? Delete the app or turn off notifications. Want to focus more on reading? Leave your phone in another room. James Clear says, disciplined people spend less time in tempting situations. It's not that they're stronger. It's that they're not always at war with themselves. So if you want more self-control, don't just try harder. Set yourself up to need less of it. Because habits are easier to manage when your environment makes the good choices obvious and the bad ones invisible. Chapter 8. How to make a habit irresistible. Picture this. You're walking past a bakery. The smell of warm bread and sugar pulls you in like a magnet. You weren't even hungry, but now you're buying a muffin. What happened? That's the power of craving. James Clear explains that every habit is driven by a desire. Not for the behavior itself, but for the feeling it brings. You don't crave brushing your teeth. You crave the clean, fresh feeling afterward. You don't crave reading. You crave the knowledge, the escape, or the sense of progress. In this chapter, Clear takes us deeper into the second law of behavior change. Make it attractive. The more attractive a habit, the more likely you are to repeat it. And here's the secret. You can make habits more attractive by using a method called temptation bundling. This means pairing an action you want to do with one you need to do. For example, only watch Netflix while folding laundry. Only drink your favorite smoothie while working out. Only listen to your favorite podcast while walking. Temptation bundling works because it links your desire to a productive behavior. It rewires your brain to associate a reward with a routine. Clear also introduces the idea of social reinforcement. If you surround yourself with people who already do the things you want to do, those habits become contagious. Humans are wired to imitate those they admire and identify with. Want to start writing? Hang out with writers. Want to run more? Join a running club. The desire to fit in will pull you toward their behaviors. So how do you make a habit irresistible in real life? Pair it with pleasure. Do it with others. Celebrate the feeling it gives you. Because the more your brain craves the outcome, the easier it becomes to act. It's not about forcing discipline. It's about designing desire. And when your habits feel good, they stick. Chapter 9. The role of family and friends in shaping your habits. We are not as independent as we think. Our habits aren't just a personal matter. They're deeply influenced by the people around us. James Clear starts this chapter by showing how powerful social environments are in shaping behavior. Imagine moving to a new country. You don't know the language, the customs, or the routines. But slowly, you start picking up cues. You begin dressing like the locals, eating what they eat, and copying how they interact. Not because anyone forced you, but because fitting in feels good. It feels safe. Clear explains that we tend to imitate three social groups: the close, family and friends; the many, the crowd, or what's considered normal; the powerful, those with status and influence. This is why your habits reflect your community. If your friends love to work out, you'll probably exercise more. If your coworkers take smoke breaks, you might start joining them, even if you don't smoke. James Clear's advice? Join a group where your desired behavior is the normal behavior. If you want to write, join a writing group. If you want to meditate, find a mindfulness circle. The more you surround yourself with people who already live the life you want, the more natural it becomes to adopt their habits. And here's where it gets powerful. When being part of the group is tied to the habit, breaking the habit means breaking the bond, and no one wants to feel excluded. This emotional glue strengthens your habits in a way that self-discipline never could. So take inventory. Who are you spending time with? What do they value? What habits do they model? Because if you want to change your behavior, sometimes the best place to start isn't with yourself, it's with your tribe. Chapter 10. How to find and fix the causes of your bad habits. We often blame ourselves for our bad habits. I'm lazy. I lack discipline. But James Clear offers a kinder truth. Bad habits aren't flaws, they're solutions. They're how your brain learned to meet a need, even if the method isn't serving you anymore. Take a moment to think, what's the real reason behind your habit? You scroll through your phone endlessly, not because you're lazy, but because you're bored or anxious. You overeat, not because you lack control, but because you're stressed or seeking comfort. Clear says the key to change is awareness. You have to understand the cue behind the craving. Every behavior is your brain trying to solve a problem. If you want to change the behavior, you must first identify the why. One method Clear recommends is behavior mapping. It's like detective work. Take one habit, say, checking your phone every 5 minutes. Ask yourself, what's the cue? Boredom? Silence? What's the reward? A distraction? Connection? Then create a new habit that meets the same need, but in a better way. Maybe you replace the phone check with a deep breath or a journal note. Still a break from the moment, but now it's mindful. Another tip, change your environment to interrupt the loop. If snacking is your bad habit, don't just rely on willpower. Rearrange your kitchen. Move snacks out of sight. Put healthy options front and center. You're not trying to fight your brain. You're trying to work with it. Clear reminds us, bad habits often start as coping mechanisms. They gave you relief, control, or pleasure when you needed it most. But now that you're aware, you can outgrow them with grace. Fixing a bad habit isn't about punishing yourself. It's about listening, understanding, and gently replacing it with something better. Because when you heal the root, the behavior fades on its own. Chapter 11. Walk slowly, but never backward. If you've ever tried to build a habit, you've probably had this experience. Things go great for a few days, maybe even weeks, and then something throws you off. You miss a day, then two, and suddenly you feel like you failed. James Clear tells us that perfection isn't the goal, consistency is. This chapter is all about persistence. The idea is simple. Progress happens not by never slipping, but by never quitting. Or in Clear's words, you just need to be consistent, not perfect. He introduces a concept called the never miss twice rule. Missing a habit once is an accident. Missing it twice is the start of a new habit, the wrong one. So what do you do when you slip up? You show up again, even if it's in a small way. If you miss the gym, do a 5-minute workout at home. If you skip journaling, write one sentence. It's not about doing everything. It's about maintaining your identity as someone who keeps going. Clear uses the story of a stock trader who never let himself miss a single daily habit. His secret? He made the habits so small, so automatic, that even on his worst days, he could do them. The message? Make your habits resilient. Here's the truth. Life will get messy. You'll get sick. You'll get busy. You'll get tired. But if your habits are built to be flexible, not fragile, you'll stay on course. Even if you walk slowly, you're still moving forward. So the lesson here, drop the all or nothing mindset. Replace it with always something. Because in the long run, consistency compounds more than intensity ever could. Chapter 12, the law of least effort. Let's face it, humans are wired to take the easy way out. And that's not a flaw. It's actually smart. Our brains are built to conserve energy, to look for the path of least resistance. James Clear explains that if you want to stick to a habit, you need to make it easy, really easy. Because the easier a behavior is, the more likely it will become automatic. Think about it. If going to the gym requires packing a bag, sitting in traffic, finding parking, and waiting for equipment, you'll find excuses. But if the gym is in your apartment building, or your workout is 10 minutes on your living room floor, you're far more likely to show up. This is the third law of behavior change. Make it easy. Clear tells us about the story of Japanese TV repairman turned weightlifter who never skipped workouts because he made the process effortless. His gym was always ready. His equipment was within reach. He removed every bit of friction. Want to read more? Leave a book on your pillow. Want to drink more water? Fill a bottle and keep it on your desk. Want to floss? Place the floss right next to your toothbrush. These sound silly, but they work. Because when a habit requires less energy, your brain won't resist it. And the inverse is true. If you want to break a bad habit, make it harder. Log out of social media. Delete apps. Hide the snacks. Increase the friction. The lesson here is simple. Don't rely on motivation. Design your environment. If success is about momentum, then your surroundings are the slope. Make that slope steep and smooth, and your habits will start rolling without force. Because in the end, the best habits are the ones that feel effortless. Chapter 30. How to stop procrastinating by using the 2-minute rule. We all know that starting is the hardest part. Whether it's writing an email, going for a jog, or cleaning the kitchen, getting started feels like a mountain. James Clear gives us a brilliant solution. The 2-minute rule. When you want to build a new habit, make it so easy it only takes 2 minutes. It works like this. Put on your running shoes. Open the document. It doesn't matter what comes after. What matters is that you start. Read 1 page. Clear shares the story of a guy who went to the gym every day but only stayed for 5 minutes. They're quick votes that build a powerful identity over time. For weeks, he didn't work out. He just showed up. And once the habit of showing up was built, the workouts followed. The key insight here is identity. You're not trying to run a marathon. You're trying to become a runner. You're not writing a novel. You're becoming a writer. Every small action is a vote for the kind of person you want to become. And 2-minute habits? So if you're struggling to start, shrink the habit. Make it ridiculously easy. Or a person who wants to avoid TV might unplug it and hide the remote. Because once you're in motion, momentum takes over. Success doesn't come from doing big things occasionally. It comes from doing small things consistently. Willpower is weak. Environment is strong. Chapter 14. How to make good habits inevitable and bad habits impossible. What if you could design your life so that good habits were automatic and bad habits were nearly impossible? That's exactly what this chapter teaches. Right away, James Clear introduces us to a strategy called commitment devices. If a habit doesn't give us some kind of satisfaction now, we're unlikely to keep doing it later. These little wins give your brain a hit of satisfaction, making you want to keep going. The long-term benefits aren't enough. We need a reason to come back today. These are tools or decisions you make now that lock in better behavior for the future. Tell a friend your goal and ask them to check in. Or use apps that charge you money if you slip. Add accountability, and the cost of failure becomes real. For example, someone who wants to eat healthier might sign up for a meal delivery service. Someone trying to save money might cut up their credit card. The idea is this. Change the environment so the good habit is the default, and the bad habit takes extra effort. Treat yourself to a small reward after doing something difficult. Clear also talks about using technology to our advantage, like using apps to block websites, setting automatic transfers to savings, or even scheduling gym sessions with a friend. Habits that are good for us long term, like saving money or eating healthy, often don't feel good right away. Every day he wrote a joke, he put an X on a calendar. His only goal was to not break the chain. One joke, one X day after day. So we have to create that feeling ourselves. The lesson? A reason to keep going. A win you can feel. Make the good choice the easy one, and the bad choice the hard one. Are you really working out as often as you think? Are you consistent with your meditation or journaling? Numbers don't lie. Chapter 15, The Cardinal Rule of Behavior Change. What matters is getting back on track quickly. Remember the rule from earlier, never miss twice. A reminder that you are the kind of person who follows through. But sticking with it day after day, especially when life gets messy, that's the real challenge. There's one simple truth in human behavior. We repeat behaviors that feel rewarding. Make good habits satisfying. Make bad habits unsatisfying. A calendar, a notebook, even moving coins from one pocket to another. It doesn't have to be fancy. It just has to be visible. James Clear calls this the cardinal rule of behavior change. What is rewarded is repeated. What is punished is avoided. Just restart. The goal is not perfection. It's continuity. Let that progress pull you forward. So if you want a habit to stick, you need to make it satisfying. It needs to feel good. Here's why. Our brains are wired for immediate gratification. Clear uses examples like habit tracking and visual progress, marking an X on the calendar, seeing your streak grow. He also warns us about the danger of invisible results. You can do this by pairing the habit with something enjoyable. Listen to music while cleaning. Watch your favorite show while folding laundry. The goal is to make the experience positive, so your brain associates the habit with feeling good. And if you want to break a bad habit, make it unsatisfying. The takeaway here is simple. Because in the end, we all follow the rewards. Design yours wisely. Chapter 16, How to Stick with Good Habits Every Day. Let's face it, building a habit is one thing. In this chapter, James Clear explains a powerful secret to making habits last. He calls it habit tracking. Why does tracking work? Because what you measure, you improve. And what you see, you do more of. Clear uses a story of comedian Jerry Seinfeld. He once shared his method for becoming a better writer. And it worked, because the growing chain became visual proof of progress. It turned invisible success into something you could see. When you track a habit, even if it's something small like drinking water or reading a page, it creates a sense of momentum. Habit tracking also gives you clarity. It shows what's working and what's not. But more importantly, tracking reinforces identity. When you mark that box, check that list, or log that step, it's not just about completing a task. It's a vote. Clear also gives a warning. Don't let tracking become a trap. Missing a day doesn't mean failure. So how can you make tracking easy? Use a simple app, and if you miss a day, don't dwell. Because habits aren't built in a day. They're built every day. So the next time you feel like quitting, look back at your streak. See the path you've walked. Track it. See it. Believe it. Because when progress is visible, success becomes inevitable. And there you have it. The Complete Journey Through Atomic Habits by James Clear. It's not about making massive changes overnight. It's about small improvements made consistently. It's about becoming the kind of person who shows up, even when it's hard. And if you're ready for more, we've got something special for you. And it's about designing your environment, your routines, and your identity so success becomes inevitable. Perfect for long drives, busy work days, or winding down before bed. Head over to our Reels and Shorts playlist for bite-sized book reviews and rapid takeaways you can learn in under a minute. If you've made it this far, you're already someone who values growth. Check out our Power Books playlist next. It's a collection of the most impactful books in history, broken down just like this one. Want something quicker? At Prose Pursuit, we believe in making wisdom simple, practical, and powerful. So if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, tap the notification bell, and join a growing community of people who read smart, think deep, and live better. Until next time, remember this: tiny changes, when done right, can lead to truly remarkable results. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.